Welcome to Flash Fiction from Giant's Reach by Steve Cook. Hey, welcome back to the podcast. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. I quite enjoyed writing it. This week's episode is about another technological advancement, and one that really lies in the paws of uplifts rather than in the hands of humans. It stands to reason that uplifts would lead the way when it comes to developing science to do with yellowdust. It's what they need to survive, after all. So, when thinking about research centre at the College of Chemicks, where chemics are trained, if they're accepting uplifts, then that's where most of the research would be being done. So this is a story set in the College of Chemicks, and I hope you enjoy it. Liquid yellow. We've lost the market, Jono said. It's those blasted uplifts. He grabbed his beer and took a bitter swallow. They're ahead of the curve, Tabs. His drinking partner nodded, setting his own cup down. Yeah, well, to be expected, eh? I mean... He tapped one black-nailed finger against the wooden cup, some of the beer slopping over the side. We do a pretty good trade, humans, on beer. And we almost could be said to need it to live, right? Stands to reason that uplifts would be the expert when it comes to dust. Too right. Jono drained his cup and set it down with a click. The tavern was crowded, dozens of chemics relaxing at the end of the working week. After all, Jono mused, not like there's much else to do here. The college was isolated, far enough away from most large nations for independence, but that came with a price, the death of any sort of social life. I'm done, Tab said abruptly. What? Done? Jono looked up sharply, surprising even himself. Wait, I'm going to bed. Tab shook his head. I've got stuff to do. Can't spend all my time drinking and being annoyed that we don't know how to make liquid yellow. Oh, I get you. Listen. Jono drained his own cup. I think I'm going to go make a little liquid yellow of my own and then, turn in. Tabs frowned. You okay? How long were you here before I joined you? Jono waggled his hand in the universal symbol for a while and staggered to his feet. Almost immediately he reeled to the side as the ground pitched under him. You want some help? Nah, I'm good. I'm fine. Jono shrugged Tabs off and clutched onto the table for support. I'm good. Gonna go home. Tabs looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay, man. Have a good evening. Jono nodded, watching his friend go. Then he began to navigate his way to the door that led to the outhouse. A few minutes later he set off into the covered walkways of the college. It was a tower, many floors stacked on top of each other like dishes in a sink. In the centre, a stairwell connected everything together, and every house or classroom, every stable or lodging for an uplift, helped to support the plate above. Jono's journey from the tavern took him, more or less, into the stairwell. Uplifts, he muttered. Can't have all the money. They should be made to share their research, but no, not to poor Jono. 5 minutes later he arrived, not at his home, 2 floors down, but at the laboratory he worked at. The doors were still unlocked, as were most places at the college, and it was the work of a moment to slip in. The lantern hung by the door represented the biggest challenge, but after a minute's fumbling, Jono stood looking over the lab. The tables were busy, a mess of bottles and small wooden chests of dust, leather-bound books, and all manner of other equipment. He picked up a nearby graduated cylinder, still half full of the day's failed experiment. Go make something, he slurred. He closed his eyes for a moment, pushing down the wave of nausea that swept through him, and set to work. It was through gummy eyes the next morning that he peered as Tabs shook him awake. Jono, you in there? What? The big man pulled himself more upright from where he was slumped next to the workbench. What time is it? Gone 9 bells. Did you sleep here? Tabs sniffed and grimaced. You smell like you did. I thought you were on your way home. With shaking hands, Jono raised himself from the floor. His stomach pitched and whirled. Is everything okay? He surveyed the lab, groaning. Yes, it had been messy yesterday when they left, but it had been an organised chaos. Now it was just chaos, arranged in vaguely circular patterns around a single beaker which contained a yellow liquid. Did you whittle in that jar? Tabbs grimaced. Jono lurched forward and grabbed the beaker, bringing it to his nose. He took a deep sniff, his eyes widening. It's yellow, he said. Liquid yellow, and look, it hasn't separated. It's stable. Tabbs stared at him. Give that here. He snatched the beaker and studied it. After a moment, a broad smile blossomed on his face. I'll be blowed. It is. It's liquid yellow like those uplifts have. Pure, concentrated, stable. Jono grinned back at him. We could sell it, ship it, no more inhaling the stuff, no more explosions. Right. Tabbs set the beaker down and rubbed his hands together. Let's make another batch. How did you do it? Jono's own grin froze on his face as he stared around the laboratory and back into the blank space where his memories of the night before should have been. He said. You've been listening to flash fiction written for my Patreon, Giant's Reach. If you'd like to become a supporter, go to patreon.com/Giant's Reach, where you can find more fiction just like this,